Alright, so I'm going to continue and write these on the left side. If you have just one variable, you need to solve for x. Here's what you do. First, you distribute if you have any. After you distribute, combine like terms. Step 3, move your x or move the variable if you need to. Step 4, you go through and solve it. And then step 5, this only applies if you have an inequality. So if you have one of these, less than or greater than, and you divide or multiply by a negative, you flip the sign. And that is just for solving equations or solving inequalities. Let's switch to a new pen. Now, for systems of equations, if they cross, that is one solution. If they're the same line, so you have one line that is on top of another line, sorry, trying to draw two lines, then that is going to be infinite solutions. And if they are parallel lines, so they're never going to cross, that would be no solution. Now, something for you to remember. If you see, and I'm going to write it up here because I'm kind of running out of room, f of x is just another way of saying y. And if you see that, put into y equals. There's a lot of the problems on your test that can be solved if you just graph them. If you see f of x or y equals, put into y equals on your calculator. Now, just two more things to remember about linear equations. Parallel lines have the same slope. So, parallel lines, same slope. Perpendicular lines, flip and switch. Alright, now let's get to quadratics. All that was to help with linear stuff. So, in quadratics, your standard form is right over here. Now, if you have to get the factors, remember, you're going to use the x method. On the top is always a times c. On the bottom is always b. And then for the sides, you're going to get your factors. You'll divide them by a. And that is after you use the tree method to get your factor. So, tree method, get all your terms, circle, plug those in, right? Put it in above your a. Your final answer for factoring is always going to be something and something. Remember, you see f of x, that just means y equals. And your a value tells you two things. It tells you if it goes up, and that'll be with a positive a. If it opens down, be with a negative a. It also tells you if it's a stretch or a shrink. Remember, for a stretch, this is going to be a fraction. A shrink is going to be a larger number. If they ask you to solve a quadratic, remember the term ROXS, standing for roots. Roots mean solves. If they ask for the zeros, that means solves. If it asks for the x-intercept, that means solve. Or sometimes they just say find the solutions, which also means to solve it. Your solutions are always going to be x equals and x equals. They're always just going to be a single term. Now, vertex form, they give you the vertex with the h and the k. Remember, your x lies, and you keep the k the same. So if it's positive, it's going up. If it's negative, you're going to go down. Every vertex, it's either going to be at the bottom or it'll be on the top. And your axis of symmetry is going to go through that vertex. Whenever it's opening up, this is a minimum. Whenever it opens down, the vertex is at a maximum. And how do you find that on your calculator? You go second, trace, and 3 is your minimum, and 4 is your maximum. Now, for the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. You will always get two answers. And just remember, your a, b, and c have to match it up in standard form. Last thing, when you have two factors, you can FOIL them to get the quadratic. First times outside, second times inside terms, and last terms. So you're going to multiply 4 times, and then you will combine like terms. Alright, I'm going to stop the video here. We've got just a few more things to write.